Hi everyone, welcome back to the Nature Patch. I am outside in the garden this afternoon, and over the past week I've been really busy trying to get this garden planted. It's definitely a work in progress, but on the weekend I went to my local food/plant swap, and that really helped me out because it gave me quite a few free plants that I want to use to plant out the garden. I'm not going to share too much of the garden behind me because I'm going to be doing a garden tour that's hopefully going to go up on Sunday. But today I thought I would show you how I'm planting some of the plants in the garden. The soil here is really kind of rocky, granitic, and it's got a good layer of topsoil on it, but then as you kind of dig down a little bit, it's basically just granite, which kind of makes it a little difficult to plant things such as tomatoes and zucchinis and pumpkins that really like a rich kind of well draining soil. So I'll give it a bit of an insight on how I'm planting those and also run through some of the plants that I picked up on the weekend. I'm really excited to get this space planted, ready for an autumn harvest. It's really a trial and error garden to see what grows best and how well plants respond to different nutrients and watering cycles, but I am doing my best. Like all of my videos, make sure you have a tea or coffee to enjoy while watching gardening content, or if you're like me in a very, very warm environment, opt for a nice hydrating drink of soda water or something along the lines of that. Right, so I'm going to turn you around and I think we're going to get started on planting some of the tomatoes. Right, so this afternoon, the first tomatoes that I'm going to be planting are the Thai pink egg tomatoes, which are a kind of a smaller tomato than a Roma, I believe. They have a really nice blush pink color on them. I haven't ever tried growing them, but I've heard that they grow really well in southeast Queensland, so I wanted to give them a try. These are a really, really good size to be planted in the ground now, and what I'm going to do before I plant them is just pinch off any of the lower stems and leaves up to about that height or so, and all of this will be planted underneath the ground because all of here, all of the little kind of furry bits on the side of the tomatoes is where roots are going to grow out of. Planting the tomato a lot deeper as well is also just going to provide a lot of stability. When you kind of have a tomato this long, it is really susceptible to breaking in the wind, but if you plant it a lot higher up, then it's less likely to snap when we get some high winds, just because it is a little bit windy in the afternoons around here. So I'm going to put these in the ground and eventually get on to organising some staking for them. I'm not going to be doing that today. I just really need to get these in the ground. So I think what I'm going to do is plant one of them and film how I'm doing it, and then just have like a voiceover explaining the process as well. So the main difference with digging the holes for this vegetable garden is that I'll be digging them a lot wider than I usually would to plant say tomatoes and zucchinis, and that's just because while this topsoil looks great that was brought in, as you can see here, as you get down into that more granitic hard layer, it becomes really, really hard to start to dig down, and the water just doesn't drain through the soil at all. So I'm adding a little bit of manure down into the very bottom of the hole. It's fairly fresh, so what I'll be doing is just mixing it with the soil that I have dug out with the hole. And this is going to break down really, really quickly as the soil is just really low in organic matter. It'll just be a great addition. And I'm also just adding some coffee grounds, as I had quite a lot of that just sitting on the kitchen bench. So I'm also adding that in, and both of these are going to add some great nitrogen to feed the tomato plants. So to prevent the tomatoes from kind of growing straight away into the manure, a lot of the roots will be growing out rather than straight down anyway, due to that kind of wide shape of the hole. But I'm also going to be mounding up the area where I'm going to be planting the tomato, and this is going to allow a little bit more room between the roots of the tomato plant and that manure as well. So this is a really good size to be planting tomatoes. I've got my trusty little helper here wanting to investigate, and then I'm just mounding up the soil around the base of the plant as well. and getting some more help, obviously. And then I'm just going to be watering it all in, making sure that it gets a nice drink. And then I'll be adding some cardboard over the top of this just to prevent any of those grass roots to come up. And then talking about the mulch of the plant. Alright, so after I have put the plants in the ground, I like to give it a really good water, and then also put the cardboard on top, and then give the cardboard a water too. So that just makes sure that all of the points of contact with the soil are moist. And then after that, I like to give it a really good mulch. Mulch is really crucial for pretty much all of Australia and most parts in the world. It kind of creates that balance in the soil environment of not too wet and not too dry, depending on if you want to retain moisture or you want the moisture to kind of slowly disperse. I have thankfully struck gold with the mulch pile that we have. We've got a massive big pile of eucalyptus mulch that was from a few trees that went down in some storms, and the pile of mulch has some really awesome things happening in it. You might have wondered if you ever kind of dig into a big mulch pile or into the ground and see some really white, furry looking cobwebby material. That's what I'm finding right now in the mulch pile, and it's called mycelium, which is really crucial in soil building. It's really the start of creating soil from a medium that isn't already soil, and is the start of the fungal activity that breaks everything down. So having this in the big mulch pile is really amazing, and it's going to be a great addition to this whole area, which was all just once grass and definitely needs a lot more organic matter in it. So hopefully, as I keep layering this up and create the beds and build the beds up a little bit higher, all of this is going to slowly kind of decompose with the help of all of the mycelium in here and give us some really great soil. I'm starting to see some really great signs of life around here, including some different mushrooms popping up. And all of these things, mushrooms, mycelium, is just a sign that the material that you have is actually living, which is good for your plants because they need different fungi to break down all of the material to then be able to feed your plants with all of that beautiful organic matter. So I'm going to put the mulch on this and then maybe have a chat about some of the plants that we got. So another thing I am trying to do is plant a native garden behind me here. And this garden behind me is done on a very low budget. A lot of the plants that I used in here were actually free, or they were from a native nursery which has really cheap tube stock. So the aim of this garden behind here is basically to create a little bit more of a butterfly and bird habitat. Our office is up there, and I wanted to include a lot of natives that flower and have all different types of flowers, different coloured flowers, different scents that are going to attract some pollinators and birds to this area. The soil in here, like most other areas around, is really poor. It's basically just crushed granite, but one thing that grows really well in crushed granite is a lot of native trees. So I have put in a lot of different native bottlebrush, acacias, which have a beautiful bright yellow flower, some hovias, which have a beautiful kind of pea style purple flower, some native pig faces along the edges to create some layers to the whole garden. And in the center behind me is a larger bush which is going to grow up to around 5 meters or so, and then gradually as you come out from that, the plants get smaller and smaller so that it's going to kind of have that triangular kind of layered effect. So I'm very excited to see how this goes, and what I've done, I'll turn you around, is to mulch it all, and I'll be gradually adding more mulch on here to kind of give that little bit more of a thicker layer to have it all slowly break down over time and provide a little bit more organic matter to this area. So that is just up from the veggie garden behind me here. I've got my little friend following me around the whole garden. Right, so I'm going to go and set you up somewhere and talk about some of the free plants that I got on the weekend. Alright, there's probably going to be a little bit of background noise with renovations going on, but I am going to run through some of the plants that I got on the weekend. So something I really love to attend around me is my local community food/plant swaps. Luckily in Brisbane, pretty much most suburbs seem to have some kind of group or like Facebook group where you can connect with people who are located close to you, and you can swap kind of excess produce or excess plants that you have. So I went to my local one on the weekend and I came back with the goods. I'll insert a photo of what we brought to the meet. We brought lots of tomatoes, some leftover okra plants that I had, I picked some really cute little bundles of thyme and also included some seeds in there. It was a really, really good morning to kind of just be around people who are like you, who kind of get it with the whole plant, growing your own food things. It was really, really good. I didn't stay too long, but I did come back with quite a lot of plants, way more than I took, which is the great thing about these meets is that people pretty much just want to get rid of the plants and the excess produce that they have, and they are so generous. So I was really happy to come back with what we did. The first things that I picked up were some geranium cuttings. I absolutely love the smell of geraniums, and I think the flowers are also just absolutely beautiful. Geraniums grow really well in southeast Queensland, and they're a great kind of garden filler to fill in different spaces where you're just not sure what to put. Geraniums are really great because they're really fast growing. They provide really pretty foliage and flowers for the bees as well. So I picked up 3 different cuttings and I've just got them in some water for now to kind of just start rooting, and then I will put these in some soil. So I got some that are light pink and then some darker pink as well. And I swapped like 1 tomato plant for like 3 different plants. So yeah, I got a lot. I'll just include a few of the plants because there are quite a lot, but I'll put a overlay of everything else that I got too. I'm just going to adjust this because it is a little bit crazy. Trying to work with the fading sun and the afternoon light here. The next things that I swapped, I think I swapped some lettuce seeds or bunch of thyme for 4 little baby eggplants. These eggplants are the yellow graffiti eggplant. And these apparently grow really well around my suburb, which is also another great thing about these meets is that you get to talk to people about what actually grows well in your area. And apparently eggplants, this variety grows really well. This apparently grows up to, 1 meter by half a meter. And I've got 4 plants in here, so I'm definitely going to see where I can fit them in the garden, and if not, maybe just give 1 or 2 of these little seedlings away to friends or family. Another beautiful little 2 plants that I got, which was actually on my list and I was really hoping someone would bring some cuttings, was some gold pepino melons, which I have grown before. I've shown in some previous videos and I love the foliage of these, and I am going to take a lot better care of them in this garden here. So I swapped 1 tomato plant for 2 pepino melon plants, and I'm just going to divide them up, and these are great because you can just take cuttings from these as well. So 2 plants should definitely be enough for the garden. Then the last one that I have down here is just a bunch of pawpaw trees. Apparently it is a kind of bisexual pawpaw, so hopefully it will fruit. But if not, you know, they were absolutely free, and I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, about like 10 free plants. So I think the lady who was giving away the pawpaws pretty much just gave them away and didn't really want anything in return. And it's just so lovely to be around people like that who are so generous and yeah, really, really lovely. So if you've never been to a swap before, I'd really highly recommend it. It's kind of a little bit daunting to go the first time if you don't know anyone. That's why I dragged Scott along. So just drag your partner or a friend along if you don't want to go by yourself. But it's always super rewarding, and I end up having a really good time every time I go. So definitely just do like a Facebook search or Google local food swaps in your area. It doesn't even have to be in the same suburb. You can drive to different suburbs around in your area, and I am sure you'll find one. And if you are in a really rural, remote area, Facebook is a really great way to get in contact with people who want to swap seeds or plants that can travel through the mail. I know there's lots of seed swapping groups on Facebook, so there's something for pretty much everyone. I'm going to take you up and I'll show you a few of the other little cool plants that I got, and then I might have to wrap it up because I am losing light this afternoon and I still need to give the garden a water and tidy up my mess that I made. So these were some of the plants that I also picked up. I also picked up a mulberry tree. I absolutely love mulberry trees and they have such good memories for me. I also picked up a ice cream bean tree, which grows to quite a large tree and has some really great pods on them that taste a little bit like vanilla. And I also picked up a Davidson plum tree that grows to about 10 meters or so and is a really gorgeous rainforest plant. I just love the foliage of the plant as well, so it'll be a great addition to the rainforest area around the pool. And also some maroon red spinach and a curry leaf tree as well that I'm going to try and keep fairly small. And then some other pawpaws / papayas. Some were a little bit sad, but nothing that some worm tea can't fix. And then just some more tomatoes, passion fruit, rosemary. And I was also really excited to find another kumquat tree there and some gorgeous Thai basil as well. One last thing, I wanted to let you all know that I'll be going live this Sunday. I have hopefully scheduled it all, so you'll get a notification for when the live will be. So if you do have a question, whether it be garden related or homesteading related, definitely leave it down in the comment section down below and I will discuss it in the live as well. I hope some of you can join in on the live, but it will be all recorded as well, so if you can't join, you can just listen to it later. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to give it a like if you did and subscribe for lots more garden content. Thank you so much for watching, and until my next video, happy gardening everyone. Bye!